Robinson Crusoe was a book written in 1719 by Daniel Defoe. He gets shipwrecked on an island in the Caribbean. His famous struggle for survival has been translated into more than 700 versions and languages. Daniel Defoe. He was born in 1860 in London, England. His birth name was Daniel Foe, but later changed his name to sound more gentlemanly. Defoe went to college to become a minister, but later on switched his career path to the business field. During his 50 years of marriage, Defoe and his wife Mary Tuffley had 8 children, 2 of whom died of unknown causes. During his stage as a businessman, he gained increasing debt equivalent to $500,000 US. This debt was the ultimate cause of him being sent to prison. Later in his life, Defoe once again changed his career path, this time going into political works such as writing pamphlets. His political works led him into writing novels, the first of his being Robinson Crusoe. Defoe created Robinson's character by placing characteristics of his own into the character. Defoe and Crusoe were both ordinary Englishmen that had tragic situations that were caused by their own choices. While Defoe gained a tremendous amount of debt while following his dreams and becoming a businessman, Robinson becomes shipwrecked as he follows his adventurous childhood dreams. It's as though Defoe is trying to express his difficulties through Robinson's character. Being written in the early 1700s, England had just re-established its monarchy, and slavery was at its starting point. Charles II gained power and brought success to the country. This gave the power to the country, which, in turn, made them a powerhouse nation similar to Spain at the time. With slavery just beginning, Defoe is sure to include this in his novel. He often trades items while on his adventures, which sometimes would include humans to be sold as slaves. In Defoe's first novel, Robinson Crusoe starts off as a young, average teenager who lives in York, United Kingdom. He was always expected to live a conservative life by his father, but Robinson had dreams of sailing the world on an adventure. After thinking it through quite a bit, Robinson decides to run away from home without telling anyone where or what he was doing. Throughout his time as a runaway, he got into some difficult situations, including being a prisoner and slave in Africa. After gaining some money, he lands in Brazil and buys his own plantation, but is still unsatisfied with his adventurous life. He then leaves Brazil on another adventure, but this time he gets shipwrecked on a desert island in the Mediterranean. At this point, the rest of the book is a journal of Crusoe's accounts on the island. This includes his daily struggles, accomplishments, plots of escape are all caught from his own perspective. He planned everything out and wrote the dates and what he did on those specific days. On these days, the most common things he did were preparing tools, going to the wreckage site, and working on the wreckage site. Right around the middle point of survival, Crusoe discovers a footprint of a man on the beach. Having been on the island alone so long, this came to a complete shock to him. What he saw, he assumed that it had been from the mainland or the island nearby. After further investigation, he discovers that the natives are cannibals and becomes very scared and appreciative that he was never a cannibal himself. He then focuses his priority on safety instead of hunting and gathering. The reason for this is to stay away from the cannibals and ultimately stay alive. One thing is for sure, Robinson Crusoe definitely got the adventure he asked for. The fear of surviving remains in his mind for many years to come, until he befriends one of the natives, who Robinson calls Friday. An English ship had anchored near the island, and Robinson and Friday captured them as prisoners and killed those that wouldn't swear loyalty to them. Friday and Robinson were able to use their total control in order to reach normal civilization. Robinson created a normal life for himself, and in the end, he shockingly promised to continue going on many more adventures, showing that after all of this time, he still learned nothing. Although we all enjoyed the book, we came to a conclusion that the book seemed to drag on and became a little repetitive at some points. The book itself really set a standard for survivalist novels with how well it was written. At the beginning of the journal, Defoe seemed to ramble on as he shared what happened from day to day. As you can imagine, nothing too exciting happens on an uninhabited island, but Crusoe makes do with what he has and faces the adversity. We came to the conclusion that Robinson used his journal as a coping method. This was used to help keep his mind off the greater issue and focus on staying alive and escaping. We believe that the journal kept his sanity and gave him a friend in a way. Although the book was written in the 1700s, it contains many connections to concerns of this time. Like many teenagers today, Crusoe often dreamt of a more adventurous life, but was held back by an external force. He had more of an unrealistic plan for his life, while his father was trying to guide him down a path that he thought would be most successful for Robinson. Robinson's happiness relies upon his achievements in life. Like Robinson, people today strive for success and connect this to their happiness in life. One example is Robinson builds a hammock in the Flower Hills for a relaxing place to stay. Similarly, we enjoy a nice vacation to get away once in a while. Robinson comes across many struggles during his survival on the island, just like how we deal with obstacles throughout our life. Robinson loses his hut to a tornado at a point in the book, just as we lose jobs to the declining economy. These important items representing security, and without them, we may feel lost. As Crusoe struggles to find his self-worth and meaning on the island, we also struggle to find our purpose in life. Two literary pieces that we were able to connect with Robinson Crusoe were Lord of the Flies and Catcher in the Rye. Like Robinson Crusoe, the characters in The Lord of the Flies are stranded on a deserted island. They all come across many obstacles while struggling to survive under the harsh conditions. In both scenarios, they learn to overcome their troubles until they were rescued. Also, both stories show how important it is to maintain a healthy mind. The reason for this is to keep your senses acutely aware of everything surrounding them. In Catcher in the Rye, the main character leaves home to discover his purpose in life, just as Crusoe does when he leaves his strict parents behind and pursues his dreams of adventure. Like Crusoe, Holden Caulfield's poor actions lead to many consequences as he matures throughout the book. At many times in their life, both characters made mistakes that affected their lives greatly. What both of these classic novels show is how greatly the actions impact your life. As individuals, we are all responsible for keeping track of our actions and making sure that we don't put ourselves in a jeopardizing situation.
Stringing us along. Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place yours.